Hello everybody, my name is Chase Bradshaw, and today we're going to be burning this big pile behind me right here. And we're going to talk a little bit about burning laws and regulations, specifically in North Carolina, because we've been under a lot of burn bans lately. And I want to talk about this petition that I've seen going around to permanently ban open burning for land clearing in North Carolina. So let's get into it. So this is the pile that we have to burn here today. This is from a land clearing job that I did, and I actually did this job back in February, early February. So this pile's been sitting here for almost 2 months now, and the reason behind that is because there was a burn ban on. There's been 2 burn bans in this area lately. I'm in Brunswick County, North Carolina right now, and we were placed under a burn ban about 2.5 weeks after I did this job. I'll have the exact dates up on the screen for you. We were placed under one about 2.5 weeks after I did the job, and that got lifted for about 6 days because we had a torrential downpour and it was too wet to burn this pile then. And 6 days after that, we were placed under another statewide burn ban that was just lifted a few days ago. So we're finally going to be able to burn this pile here. And the reason I'm burning today is because the pile here is dry enough to burn, but as you can see from the ground, it's wet. Now, I'm not in wetlands here. This is the lowest point of the job. It's not all that dry up there, so don't be calling the EPA on me or anything. But it's pretty wet out here because it just rained 2 days ago, which is perfect conditions for burning. The pile is dry enough to burn, but the green woods back there have enough moisture in them that I'm not going to light the woods on fire when I burn my pile. And to burn the pile here today, I have a propane torch, some old motor oil, a leaf blower, some cardboard, some diesel, and a wheat straw bale if what we have here isn't enough to get the fire started. I think it will be because this is pretty much just small scrub brush, but I'm going to set you guys up on the tripod. Depending on how long this takes, it might be a time lapse, and let you guys watch me get this fire going. Well, this part of the fire is starting to burn pretty good, so I'm going to take the camera off the tripod and go around to a couple other spots and get them burning, and once we got a pretty good fire going, we'll start to talk a little bit more about the burn ban. So while I've got this fire burning here, I wanted to take some time to talk about a petition that I came across recently to amend 15A NCAC 2D 1900, which is to prohibit open burning for land clearing in North Carolina, which means wouldn't be able to burn the brush off like this. So I want to go through this petition, what it says, and kind of give my thoughts on it as somebody who does this. It's got 2,300 signatures at the time that I printed this out, And for those of you who don't know what the bill is, it's essentially the bill right now that makes it illegal to burn without a permit. So it's the law requiring a burn permit, and this petition is to amend that law to make it illegal to burn open like this, full stop. So let's read through this and talk about it a little bit. As North Carolinians, we're on the front lines of the detrimental effects of land clearing burning for residential and commercial developments. The smoke from burning land encroaches upon our communities, resulting in health concerns and environmental damage. Frustratingly, it seems that our health and well-being are often placed behind the interest of developers looking to save money. Despite the well-known and harmful implications, burning continues to be a legal and commonly used method for land clearing, as it is the cheapest option. So luckily included in this petition are some other solutions. This isn't just somebody complaining. They do have at least what they think are solutions. So let's go through some of them. First off, other options for North Carolinians' health and environmental well-being exist. Selective clearing, which is our first one, leaves more native vegetation behind, helping with air and water quality, along with erosion and flooding control. Okay, so I 100% agree that we need to do more selective clearing. A lot of the big developments around here where you see the cookie cutter houses, they just go through, they do what's called a clear cut, which is what I did on this property, where you just take down all of the trees, you don't leave any standing. The property owner here didn't want any trees left. It is what it is. I do think selective clearing is a great idea because I think we need neighborhoods with more trees. I don't think we have enough shade, and I just kind of think neighborhoods without trees look ugly. I live in one of the only houses in my neighborhood that has trees in the backyard because it has trees in the backyard. But selective clearing doesn't eliminate burning because you're still clearing. You still have to get rid of the rest of the material. So let's go through some of the solutions other than burning. But I do think selective clearing definitely need to do more of that. Air curtain burners drastically reduce smoke and particulate matter and can generate power and biochar to enrich the soil. Okay, so I didn't really know a whole lot about air curtain burners until I started looking into them for this. And air curtain burners, from what I can tell, work a lot like a diesel particulate filter, where they essentially burn off the material, which is, a diesel engine burns off fuel, and then it pushes it back into the burner to try and re-burn the smoke. And what this is supposed to do is reduce carbon emissions. That's the claim that all these air curtain burner companies make. But from what I can tell, that's not actually what they do. So an air curtain burner does seem to be a great option for keeping smoke out of a local area. You don't have that big old billowing stack because it keeps rotating it back into the air curtain burner. So I could see air curtain burners being a great thing in areas where a lot of houses already exist. But they have a lot of disadvantages. First off, if you're trying to be an environmentalist about air curtain burners, you're lying to yourself because the carbon still has to go somewhere. It's reburning the smoke, yes, but it's not destroying the carbon. All of that carbon is still getting released when you reopen the burner to put the material in, just not in the form of smoke. And you're actually increasing your carbon emissions because an air curtain burner burns off, guess what? The diesel fuel to be able to burn all that material and other forms of fuel. It uses oil and it needs a truck to bring it there. And you're usually going to need another machine or two if you have an air curtain burner on the property, because you have to keep shuttling material to one spot, whereas with these burn piles, you can put them all around a larger property. It's a lot less efficient having to have extra machines to keep shuttling to an air curtain burner and loading the air curtain burner versus just dropping them and pulling them all into a pile like I did here. If I had had an air curtain burner on this job, I probably would have needed 3 machines instead of 2, and this was only a half-acre job. On some of these bigger developments, you would need 2, 3, 4 extra machines, and they'd be burning a whole lot more fuel than what a little mini excavator does. So you're actually looking at increasing your carbon emissions because of all the extra fuel you're burning, plus the fuel it takes to get it there and back. And you're increasing the cost because an air curtain burner is going to go from anywhere from $120,000 to $200,000 a piece. So you're not reducing carbon emissions, but you are reducing smoke. So I could see air curtain burners being a great option for smaller areas like this, places that they don't want the smoke going into all the houses, but it's kind of pointless if you're burning out in the middle of nowhere. because it doesn't actually help with carbon emissions. And as far as the biochar goes, yeah, biochar is good for your soil, but the way they do these big developments, unfortunately, they're not really going to mix that in the ground because we just mass grade all of it when we do those. So really the only way that would ever help would be if they just sprinkled it around the backyards and it somehow stayed there throughout the entire process of the house construction. But again, could be a good thing in a smaller, more residential area, although you would be increasing the cost of the job by a much higher percentage, bringing in something that costs that much onto a job that's only going to take a week or less. So let's look at the other alternatives. Other alternatives like mulching or hauling off-site also exist. Okay, so let's start with mulching. I know quite a bit about mulching. My dad ran a forestry mulching business when I was a kid, and I think mulching is a great option for smaller trees. A lot of this could have been mulched if this property wasn't so wet. Essentially what mulching does, for those who don't know, you take a drum with either knives or teeth on it, and it cuts all of the trees down to slash and just leaves mulch and little branches on the ground. I think this is a great thing to do before you come in and take out the big trees. The problem with mulching is most mulching heads can only mulch up to about a 12-inch tree and really efficiently up to a 8 or 10-inch tree. And once you get up into the bigger mulchers that can handle those larger trees, what you're looking at there is you're leaving stumps buried in the ground that have to then be dug up. And a pine stump especially, but any stump, is a lot harder to get out without having the leverage of the tree. If you just push the tree over, you have leverage to pop that stump out. If you mulch it, you give up that leverage. So mulching is a really good option to minimize burning because it gets rid of a lot of the smaller stuff like this. But mulching is not a good way to completely clear a piece of land because it leaves stumps and root mat in the ground. So that's another problem with mulching. If you do mulch it, you need to get in there really quick and get those stumps and root mat out, or everything is just going to grow back up. Next up is hauling off-site. So if open banning today were to be banned in North Carolina, this is what most people would have to do to clear a piece of land, which is haul all of this brush off-site. Now, the first problem with that is, what's happening to all of that? Once it's hauled off-site, it's getting burned anyways. Now, they're taking it to a designated burning location when they do that. So typically that's going to be in a less residential area than where you're clearing. The problem with those is there's less and less of them every day, because what's happening is they'll go out to a remote area and, get their property ready to where they can bring in stuff and burn it for people who can't burn it on site. But then all the houses get built up around them and everybody complains about all the smoke they're making. This recently happened to a place near my house. It was in a very remote area. It was built before I was even born, and it's where everyone hauled their clearing debris and their yard debris to have it burned off. But then everything got built up around it, and now they can't burn there anymore. So what's the incentive in investing all the money into a piece of property to be able to do that if in 5, 10, 15 years, everything around it is going to be so built up that you can't burn anymore? So it's hard to find places to dump. And also, hauling off-site, what they don't tell you about specifically the price of hauling off-site compared to the cost of burning it like this, you're looking at 3 to 4 times the cost to do the job if you're hauling it off-site, because you have to have dump trucks and semi-trucks running hauling it, and you have to pay dumping fees to get rid of it. And again, if you're actually concerned about the carbon emissions of it like this petition seems to be, you're increasing carbon emissions because you're still burning all of the material, but you're using more fuel to load it into trucks, cut it up so it'll fit into the trucks, and you're still burning it somewhere else, plus all the fuel in the trucks. So again, if your actual goal is to reduce carbon emissions, this is not going to help, but again, will help keep the smoke away from an area. But it does triple to quadruple the cost of a land clearing project typically, which is why you don't see it done very often. So let's move on from the alternatives that they have listed here. Public health studies have demonstrated that smoke from open burning can cause health issues such as respiratory problems and cardiovascular diseases. Environmental experts also warn against the harmful environmental impact, including air pollution, water contamination, soil issues, and potential harm to local wildlife. Facts often brushed under the rug by those supporting this outdated and destructive practice. Ironically, according to the state government, smoke from open burning can cause adverse effects to health. Additionally, fine particulate matter from burning is one of the more harmful air pollutants to public health. It is especially harmful to young people whose lungs are still developing, as well as those with cardiovascular or respiratory ailments. Several studies have shown increased visits to ERs within days after events involving high concentrations of fine particulate matter, according to the EPA, the National Library of Medicine, and the World Health Organization. Burning of vegetation is a significant source of fine particulate matter. Now, it is worth noting at this point that out of all of the studies listed here, there is not a citation or even a link to any of them. So I can't really refute or discuss any of this because I don't know where they came from. I tried to Google some of these studies. I couldn't find any of them except for the EPA study, which seemed to be talking more about open burning of plastic than open burning of wood and yard debris and things like that. So I don't know what I can do with that. It's just bad research. I would love to see these studies so I could talk about them, but unfortunately there's not much I can say about them because I haven't seen them. I don't know how cherry-picked these are. I don't know how accurate they are. I don't know anything about them. This is just bad research. If you're going to put studies in, you got to put links to them. According to the World Health Organization, continuing with studies, kills 7 million people a year, including 650,000 children. Now, it's worth noting, they actually kind of reference a study, although I still couldn't find this one. But the key word there is World Health Organization. And I'm assuming that this study takes place over the whole world. And I would guess that most of those deaths are in third world countries, not in America, where we actually have good medical technology to deal with this. But again, I don't know because there's no citations for these studies. These blazes and wildfires that spread from them, so that's also talking about wildfires, which a lot of times they don't know what starts a wildfire. So I don't know if that includes all wildfires or just wildfires they know start from open burning. Again, I just don't know. There's no citations here. I don't know what these studies are about exactly. These blazes and the wildfires that spread from them are the world's largest source of black carbon. Black carbon is a component of PM2.5, a microscopic pollutant that penetrates deep into the lungs and bloodstream. PM2.5 increases the risk of dying from heart and lung disease, stroke, and some cancers, causing millions of people to perish prematurely every year. In children, PM2.5 can also cause psychological and behavioral problems. In older people, it is associated with Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease, and dementia. And because air pollution compromises respiratory health, it may also increase vulnerability to COVID-19. Black carbon, here we get into the climate change part. Black carbon is also a short-lived climate pollutant, meaning that although it exists only for a few days or weeks, its impact on global warming is 460 to 1,500 times stronger than carbon dioxide. We urge the NC General Assembly to listen to the voices of their constituents and to consider the clear scientific evidence. Amend the regulations currently in place, specifically 15A NCAC 2D 1900. As per the amendment, open burning for land clearing for residential and commercial developments should be prohibited. Instead, policies for appropriate debris disposal process, such as selective clearing, use of air curtain burners, mulching, or hauling away, should be required. Together, we can protect both our beloved communities and North Carolina's unique biodiversity. It's time for measures that reflect the needs and well-being of the people and the environment over mere profit. Your signature can help us make this crucial change. Sign the petition today. So that's the whole petition to amend. I'm not reading the name of the bill out again. I've already done it. But to amend that bill to ban open burning. So, again, the clear scientific evidence that is cited here is not clear because none of these studies are cited or listed. For all I know, this is cherry-picked information. You need to be able to read the full studies to actually understand what they're about. And I can't even find them. So I would love to see links to these studies if by some chance the creator of this petition is watching, or if anybody else knows about these studies, please send them over to me. I would love to look over them and discuss them a little further. I just can't because whoever created this did not cite any of their sources. So I have to treat all of this sound scientific evidence as completely moot because there's just nothing to go off of. But we do know that smoke is bad for your health, right? I mean, that's general knowledge, and if you go stand close enough to that pile right now, you'll figure it out. Now, is it as bad as these studies say? It may be, it may not. I can't see the studies. But, okay, I get it. Smoke is bad for you. So what can you do if you have respiratory issues particularly, and you're in an area where a lot of this is happening? Well, I mean, the main thing you can do is just leave the area, because right now in North Carolina, you can only burn from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., which is the hours most people are gone anyways. So, and a lot of times these burns don't go on for more than a couple days at a time, even if it is a massive 100-acre development. You can burn this stuff a lot faster than you can clear it. So you could just not be in the area when it's burning, but I get it, it's difficult to relocate. You can also upgrade the air filtration system in your house, which if you have respiratory issues and you're really concerned about this kind of thing, you should do that anyways, because regardless of whether or not open burning is legal, your neighbor's house could catch fire at any time. I mean, I hate to say it, but it can. So if you have respiratory issues and you live in an area where a lot of this burning happens especially, but really just generally, just think about maybe upgrading your home filtration system to keep these kinds of harmful particles out. So now let's talk about the money side of things, because this petition is constantly blaming greedy developers trying to make a huge profit for all this open burning. They claim the only reason that we open burn is because it saves developers money. Well, I hate to break it to you, but if we ban open burning and we go to more expensive options only of waste removal like this, the developers are still going to make money. The big developers are always going to find a way to make money. If the land clearing costs more, that's not going on the developers, that's going on the home buyers. The going rate to clear a piece of land around where I live is about $5,000 an acre. So if you live in a 100-acre development and all of the trees were burned or mulched, that development costs $500,000 to make. Well, what happens if they ban open burning and this new air curtain technology, for whatever reason, is not accessible to the clearing people? Because it's a fairly new technology. I don't know of anywhere within an hour of here that you could go buy one or get service for one. And if one goes down, that's the whole job shut down until it's up. So let's say that's not an option to them, and even if it is, that's going to increase the cost. But let's say they got to haul everything off. Well, all of a sudden, you're going from a $500,000 clearing bill to anywhere from a $1.5 to $2 million clearing bill for that 100-acre development. The developers are still going to make money, they're just going to charge more for the lots, which is going to make the home bill for the house. So for all the talk of affordable housing that we've had lately, banning open burning is not the way to do that. And that's going to affect other people too. If you ban open burning, not going to affect the developers. Again, they're going to find a way to make their money. It is going to affect jobs like this, where you've got, just a guy who wants a half-acre site cleared for his house. If the going rate's $5,000, say I charge $2,500 to clear a half-acre lot, but then I got to haul everything off, so all of a sudden I have to charge him $7,500 to $10,000 just to get the land cleared. That's before he gets it graded or puts a house on it or anything, just for a half-acre lot. I mean, that's ridiculous. If you've got to haul this material off, it gets so expensive so fast. So that's going to make not less, but more of these massive developments where everything is clear-cut and you have a bunch of cookie-cutter houses, and less people who are able to go out and buy half, quarter, 1-acre lots and build a house on it. It's also going to affect the clearing companies, especially the small ones who just do these half-acre lots like this, because if there's less of these half-acre lots getting developed, the smaller clearing companies, the small local businesses are going to go out of business first. And then the big ones will just fill that void and start taking on the smaller clearing jobs wherever they can, but they'll have more work because there will be more land being done by the big developers because they can eat the costs and the average homeowner can't. The other person this would affect massively is farmers. Banning open burning for clearing for farmland would be one of the dumbest things we could possibly do in North Carolina, because most farmland is out in the middle of nowhere. There's no need to burn open. I get that, some neighborhoods or some cities might want to burn open burning in really populated areas. I get that. But burning out in the country, in the middle of nowhere for farmland, farming is not a very profitable business for our small local farmers. It's already really hard for them to make the product that we need, for them to get it out of the ground. So if we make it to where you can't clear a piece of land by burning like this, well, let's say a farmer is looking at getting 100 acres cleared. A $500,000 clearing bill is a lot for a local farmer to swallow. And a $1.5 to $2 million clearing bill, if that has to be hauled off, guess what? The farmer is not going to have it cleared for a field. It's not worth it. The field won't make that much money for the rest of his life. What's he going to do? He's going to sell it to a developer who's going to swallow the cost and then turn around and sell all those houses that could have been farmland, which we need more of. Just turn around and sell all those houses for way more money than they would have cost originally, because even though it wasn't a farm, the material still had to be hauled off. So, should we ban open burning? Obviously, I don't think so. I think we need open burning to keep our economy going, because whether you like it or not, North Carolina is one of the largest, or one of the fastest growing states in the entire country. And developers, businesses, and homeowners alike all rely on this efficient, cheap, easy way to get rid of material to keep the economy going. So, if you want to kill small businesses, agriculture, and affordable housing, go ahead and sign this petition to ban open burning. And look, maybe I would love it if the curtain burners could actually get to the point where they're a viable option for everybody. If we could do that, that would be great, because this smoke sucks, including for me, the guy who has to come out here and burn it. I don't like being up in all that trying to burn it. An air curtain burner would be great, but for a smaller company, it's not a financially viable option, and they're really hard to find. Maybe the technology gets there one day to where that is naturally the safer alternative. But the answer is not ban what works and then let what doesn't catch up while everyone falls behind for a decade while it does. If the air curtain burners get to a point where they're a viable option, great, we can stop open burning, the market will just do it naturally. But right now, for the economy of our state and a lot of other states, we need open burning to keep development going. But what do you guys think? Are you a developer, a land clearer? Are you just sick of all the smoke? Tell me what you think. If you know of any other alternatives to burning, let me know about them. If you know something more about air curtain burners than me, let me know, because there may be something I'm missing. And just anything you have to say, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.